what, the woods?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll make the little flower things, the tree things out there. They are actually floating, but they way over here today.
Hey everybody.
Oh, bug.
What kind of bug was that?
I don't know.
If you haven't noticed, we are outside. If you can hear us, just give us a thumbs up because we are outside today. Hey sis, if you hear us on Instagram, can you give us a thumbs up or something? Okay?
So yes, we are 32 Forever, and my name is Rhonda Dove, and this is my wonderful husband.
And I'm Andrew.
And as he was saying, we are on our little vacay location today with a beautiful lake behind us and lots of noise.
Thanks,
Thank
sis.
you. Lots of noise going on. And if you read the title, it is Who Do You Turn To? And
Who do you turn to?
that is kind of for so many different things in because marriage. Who do you turn to? You need it. Or
Right.
buying a house. Or
I mean, because everybody has somebody that they turn to for certain things.
yes.
I know, and what really set this conversation with us off. It started earlier today. It was we were talking about infidelity, and but there's a word going around on social media that Jada Pinkett Smith put out there, entanglement. Can somebody please give us and let us know what entanglement is? I have no idea what it. That's the first time I ever heard entanglement used in the way Jada Pinkett Smith used it on her Facebook Live.
But I get that is not supposed to be, especially if you're married, even if you're on a separation, because we went through this same thing. You find yourself in some stuff.
And that's what you call being entangled.
But when you're going through situations, who do you turn to? Who do you go to get through it? If you're married and you want your relationship, do you have someone specific that you go to when you talk to them, trying to go back and read it and ration everything out in my head? But I didn't really feel like I had anybody to turn to talk to about it because I didn't want my family to just start disliking my husband at first, and then I didn't care who liked him
Or who didn't like
or
her.
who didn't like you. So I mean, it's hard when you're going through something to try to figure out who do I talk to about this. It's so hard, you know. My
Right.
heart is being ripped out, but you still love the person that's doing the ripping.
Right. So the question is, who do you run to when you have an issue within your relationship, with your spouse or your fiance or friend? Who do you run to? That you have people that you can go to that can give you good sound advice. Number one.
Yes.
It's like if you're married, why would anybody married run to a divorced person for marital advice? Or if you're married, you run against it.
And then if they're trying to give you advice in your relationship, is it coming with a little bit of bitterness? Relationship failed. So they might want to give you some good
buddy.
advice, but because they still will, that bad advice kind of slips in every now and then, and you will have to be the person that knows how to weed that out one way or the other.
Right.
So who do you run to? Now, before we even get married, do you really think?
You know, before I marry anybody, I always give marital counseling. I've got, you know, I have to.
But we didn't even get marriage counseling before we got married.
We didn't.
But I mean, if you weren't, would you recommend that people get marriage counseling
Now,
before they
yes,
get
I
married?
would. Yes, I would.
Why?
Because you're bringing two people are coming together to say that they want to become one. There are a lot of issues that single people have to work out because they've been single for a very long time, and they got to work out a bunch of stuff like who's handling the finances. They got to talk about sex. They got to talk about kids. They got to talk about who's going to be doing this, where we're going to live. You know, how we're going to pull the accounts together. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that got to be talked out that a lot of people don't talk about
Before they get
before
married.
they get married. They just jump in, then they just assume that everything just you got, and then then again, you got two people who've been raised two different ways.
Absolutely.
That are bringing your household.
Not necessarily baggage, but things that you have learned from each side of the family.
Some good, some bad.
Some good,
that's
some
why,
bad.
That's why I called it baggage.
That you're going to implement. Like a lot of people have issues with discipline. They
Right.
have different ways and different thoughts on disciplinary actions that they take for their children.
Right.
And that's something that you have to agree on, because I know I used to believe in popping my children in the mouth because that's how I was raised. Well, my husband, he was like,
Don't
you
pop
don't
my
put
kids
don't disrespectful. And I'm like, they're
Right.
kids and they're being disrespectful with what they're saying. And then he was still adamant about me putting my hands in their face.
You put your hand on
So
their butt.
I had to adjust the way I thought about that. And then it's also the thing that you think about when it's coming to your finances. Who's going to handle it? Who you think is better? That's something that you would have to sit down and discuss together.
Because everybody thinks they're a financial whiz.
Right. So who do you
And-
talk to about stuff like that, though? Who you going to get that kind of advice from? Do you always want to try to go to a pastor? Or you going to try to go to mama and them?
I go to a variety of people when it comes concerning finances. You know, because you have some people who are excellent with finance. I wouldn't go to anybody who sucks at their finances.
Right. Where they filed bankruptcy once.
Yeah,
once or
I
twice.
don't want to know.
Now,
But I want to go to some people who you see who are handling their finances very soundly
Yes.
and figure out, and then you find tools to work for you. It might not work for you, but some parts of finances to work like on top notch.
Right.
You know?
Right. So when I was thinking about this subject line, and I was like, it is just so many different aspects of who do you turn to when you're going through different things. But the main focus of this conversation is supposed to be on infidelity.
Infidelity.
And when you're going through marital dysfunctions, I guess that's what you would say.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're having what was the word Jada used?
Entanglements.
When you're entangled in something. And who do you go to and who do you talk to about this to help you? And not so much as a physical entanglement, but yeah, that is that entanglement that we're talking about. But you have to also look at
a mental entanglement.
Yes.
A heart entanglement.
Or when you calling yourself being friends or having these special friends that you can go out to eat with or that you can hang out with, or someone who you're confiding in all the time.
You know what we used to call those people back in the day?
What you used to call them?
Booty buddies.
Really?
A booty buddy. Yeah.
No. That's kind of friends that you haven't gotten to that point yet. But you hadn't gotten to that. Right. You're someone that you're always hanging out with, you're always going places with, and you got a husband at home, a whole husband at home, or a whole wife at home, and you ain't doing none of this stuff with that person.
And your heart
Starts going
with the person that you're hanging with the most.
that you're spending the most time with, that you're giving the most of your attention to, that you're talking the most to, that you're sharing the most with. Yeah, because if you get to the point where you don't even want to talk to your husband or your wife,
and you just want to talk to the other person
all the time, or if you get to the point where you don't even want to be hanging out with your husband or your wife, but you always find the time to go hang out with your friend who in the back of their mind got a whole nother thing is that it's always going to seem like that friend is there being very helpful. That's what it seems like. But in the back of their mind, his or hers, I know this one situation where he's being very helpful all the time, always there to help. But you got a whole wife at home.
Oh, he has a wife.
He has a whole wife at home.
What's the?
There, but you are seeking your. Why is that? If you're not happy with what you have at home, don't you think you should sit down and talk to that person and try to work it out? If you're not happy with the situation that you have at home, it's beneficial for you to talk to the person that you're with, rather than to step out on them emotionally.
Right. Because it's easy to do.
You won't even know it's happening at first.
It'll just happen. Just like wow, before you realize you done caught feelings. Mm-hmm. And when you catch feelings, sometimes it's hard to reel that thing back in. And then you like, how did I get here?
How did you get there?
Yeah. And then to happen after that, that will cause you to cross even more lines that you are already crossed.
So I'm gonna use my past. It was me, and me and my husband together, and I befriended. Didn't try nothing. He was really. He had a whole fiance at home, and I had a whole husband, but he was really, really nice. He would buy me dinner and bring it to work, and he would always talk and be willing to sit and listen. Really having any problems then, I was still getting back to that, getting to know my husband, start ways, and to love and trust him in our relationship. But I did get to the point where I wanted our relationship to work. So I didn't have nobody to turn to. So guess who I turned to? My husband. I needed him to know what was going on because I had made a decision in my head and in my heart that I wanted to be with him and nobody else but him. So I told him, this guy is pining after my attention. I ain't say it like that because I'm a thug, so I don't talk like that. I was just like, look, this dude getting my attention at work. He's finding me attractive, and I'm kind of feeling him. I need to change my environment. I can't be in this situation. And he was like, but you stronger than that. My husband said, but you stronger than that. I said, I'm not. And he said, but you trust God. You are stronger than that. I said, asking permission to have an out. He said that I was stronger than that I could handle it to keep on working. I wanted to quit my job. I knew that I couldn't need this until, it was just a kiss, but still, that was way more than I could deal with. I thought I was going to lose my mind because I really, really wanted make our marriage work and move forward. And to me, that was like the biggest slap in the face ever do. But the thing is that I didn't do the wrong thing by going and talking to my husband, because a lot of people go and talk to the person that is involved in this entanglement, because there's 3 of you, is more, it might be 4 of you in the entanglement, but I chose to go to my husband and talk to him and let him know what was going on so that we could work through this and he could give me an out. And without him doing that, I felt like I would stay where I was until something happened that I did not want to happen. Now, I could have went a lot further, because the next day that I quit, the dude was planning on getting a room, and I know I couldn't handle that. I would have really been losing my mind because I wasn't gonna go there, but I would have just went ahead and just quit that day anyway. But I quit before it happened. But the thing is that me being open and honest and willing to talk to my husband, and I still do. If somebody asks me for my phone number, I look, baby. Somebody asked me for my phone number, baby. Look at the number in the car. There's a couple. Let them make them leave me alone. So another we'll ask is on to you, why do you take the number? I don't give my number ever, but you take the number so you don't have to name, because sometimes they'll think that, oh, she thinks she's too good and they'll start acting crazy. That has happened. And the thing that has happened was, go ahead, baby, give me a call. I promise you, if I see you and your husband in public, I won't say nothing. I would be totally respectful. But you being disrespectful right now because you trying to come on to me. And I done told you, my husband is a pastor. I done told you, I'm a first lady. I may not look like a first lady all the time, but... So you can't be over here trying to get the first lady to come home with you and be friends with benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you run to? Who do you talk to?
When you have these problems, because I know they have got to come up with every single person. At some point, that it rears its head in your relationships and in your lives. So who do you I run to my wife, but I tell her all the time, don't nobody want me. You can take things the wrong way very,
yes.
And they could be innocent and where you have done nothing wrong. And because she, my wife, because of my past, it took her a long time to trust me, and she would question everything. Why, if I was 30 seconds late getting home from here, why are you 30 seconds late? Who you stopped to see? Who you going to visit? And I had to really figure out during that time, because during that time I didn't have anyone that I felt that I could talk to that would understand what was going on with me, and the pressure that she was putting on me. So I had to hold a lot of that stuff in, and my thing was to lash back at her and say, oh, I'm not doing anything. Quit asking me, quit telling me, quit putting that on me, because I'm not doing anything. And I would really get upset about it. And I don't, to this day, I don't share that with anybody. Put me through the ringer like that, I feel. And I didn't tell anybody about it, because I definitely want to talk about it.
When you're accusing your spouse of cheating, now I'm not saying that this rationing ass, they think I'm cheating anyway, so no.
Attitude to take.
What we need to find a way to do is communicate with our spouses and let them know that, okay, well, you know that I love you. I wouldn't do that. You got to let them know beyond the shadow of a doubt that
you've got to make them feel
that.
Secure.
Exactly.
You've got to make whoever you're with, you have got to make them feel secure, because in the relationship, because if you don't, it's gonna you're gonna have a bunch of mistrust issues. It's gonna come up and rear its ugly head like it did with us when we got back together.
Right.
And that lasted for years.
It did. Now I tell anybody all the time that I trust my husband beyond the shadow of a doubt. But I don't trust my husband because of who he is as a person. I trust my husband honestly because of who he is in Christ. Because I know that he knows that he has something far greater to lose than just me. Mm-hmm. Of course, he don't want beautifulness and everything.
But I lose my salvation.
Absolutely.
I don't want to jeopardize my relationship with Christ.
Right. So
not over a fling, not over
Oh, that pleasure.
No, that I don't have time for all that.
Right. And two, the wrong thing for you to do is when you get mad, use your body as a weapon, as ransom. Until I get what I want, you ain't getting what you want.
That's a no.
That
no,
is
no,
a
no.
no.
Yeah,
Your husband,
we don't play those games.
No, but my husband is very understanding to my pains and my ailments because I do have health issues. So when I'm in a lot of pain, and he is desiring some of all this lusciousness.
Really.
If I'm in pain and he can see that I'm in pain, he'll like, okay, babe, that's all right. You can rest today. He understands, but you don't deny your spouse. And to deny me if I'm ready is like, dude, really? But you just don't deny your spouse.
Because you always desire me when I'm sick, and I need a little help.
But
and I'm vulnerable. And that's when you start.
That's when he's so sexy.
Try to pounce like a lioness.
You be so sexy when you be looking weak, and I can take advantage. As long as you're taking care of your spouse's needs, you don't to worry about.
Right. And or Bob.
Tired.
Like, man, just go on to stay. You can't compare to what I got at home, so
absolutely.
Bye.
That's right.
And that's the attitude that you have to take. You can't compare to what I already have at home, so
I have the best.
I will holler at you later.
I won't holler at you at all.
Holler deuces.
Right. So, if you have someone that you can confide in, that's great. And I know a lot of us like to confide in our parents. And I'm going to tell the truth. I did not tell my mom nothing except I'm coming home. That was all she knew for a very long time. But if you feel like you can talk to your parents, I think that's good. But you also always got to remember, everything that you tell your parents, that is your mama, that is your father.
And they
you.
And
someone defend you even when you're wrong. I'm not that person, but you have to, and then they will always look at your spouse if y'all get back together.
Boo the fool.
Yeah, because at that point you done already painted the worst picture, and they never gonna forget baby.
That's right.
You made my baby cry.
Yep.
Anybody not forget that you can talk to that might not be your parents to different issues like that and things that you're going through. Yeah. But what you do is always make sure that whoever it is that you talk to have your, and they can keep whatever their out of it and give you some clean cut, decisive answers to the questions and the problems that you have.
Cannot put your stuff out in the street.
Absolutely.
Not gossip about it. Spread it. You know so-and-so was going through this? No.
Right.
So it took me a very long time to be able to have someone and with anything going on in my life.
No, you didn't. You always had me.
Other than you.
Oh.
If there was something, if I needed to talk to somebody about something that we were going through, I do have some people I can go to now.
I tell your children on you.
Neither one of my kids can ever do anything.
Talk to them. You get over there. Yeah. Because they not going to hate their daddy regardless. And I don't paint no bleach to them because daddy. How did Mimi say it? Diddy. No bleak pictures of him will be painted.
So, guys, be careful who you run to with your problems.
And that's the Diddy.
And or vice versa.
Right.
Because people are trifling.
Whenever you are always telling how happy you are, how great your relationship is, everybody don't want to see you happy.
No.
So you might want to, hey Tevin, you might want to
Be careful
who you even be telling that to, because you know how some people, they always like to talk about, oh, my man do this and my man do that. Well, everybody don't want to hear that. So they might be the ones that's sitting on the sideline. Oh, really? Oh, I think I'm gonna need.
When something happens between you and your spouse, they're the first one to show up on the opposite side, trying to console the other person,
right? Instead of consoling you,
and trying to push you out. You've got to be aware of that. It's like a buyer beware. Be careful of that.
Right.
So,
right. So, just be careful. Just be careful. Pick and choose who you talk to very wisely.
Yep.
Very wisely. And always listen to this. God is your best. God, and talk about it with God's word, and look at Him. Only God could have put this relationship back together.
Yep.
Right. I talked a lot. I was on my hands and knees talking a lot and telling my God exactly what I wanted and exactly what I've been through.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did. I was like, Lord, you need to fix this. Fix it.
It came down to when she prayed for she said, God, I can't do this anymore. I need a godly
man, a man